We're back. I'm back. You guys, it's been a long few hours, but the Gritty Mamas podcast is back. I have been chomping at the bit to get back on the microphone and talk, but it's a little different this time. I'm not in my closet. I am not sitting on my couch with lights in my face that are my own. I don't have kids yelling from the basement or from upstairs. I'm not shushing anyone. I am in a legit studio, and I have a co-host. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, hello. I'm Carly Tall, and I'm your plus one today.
She is not my plus one. She is an integral part of this podcast. So many things have come to be as we have joined forces to come and podcast together. I don't even know where you want to start. Do we start with how we came to be in here? Do we start with how we came to know each other? What do you think?
I mean, maybe a little bit of how we know each other. It's not that important, but
of course it is. This is all part of the plan. I think Heavenly Father put little, promptings, or the Spirit promptings in our hearts to kind of come together and find each other. And it all comes down to the blessings of, I think, social media. I think Carly was a follower, and I think I ended up following her back over time. I don't know. I don't even remember, but she would comment every now and then, or she would send a DM and ask a question.
Years. It's been over years. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like probably a good couple years that we interacted.
Yeah.
Before we even started talking, in real life,
Well, and I was always, I don't know if it was like honored or surprised maybe, but like she would voice message me in Instagram.
That's right.
And nobody else, would really do that unless it was by accident. And so it made me listen to her, because I was like, who the heck is,
I forgot about that,
sending me voice messages? But like, she's a mom, and she was busy with her hands. She didn't have time to write out a message. It was just quicker, faster, easier to, send a message.
I usually communicate in stories.
Yeah.
Right? Usually when I'm trying to relate to somebody or explain something, it's so much easier in a story. And you can't do that typing very well.
Right. And so she would reach out in a voice memo over my Instagram DMs, and I listened, and I was like, I like her perspective. I like what she's saying. And so she would be on my highlight, or what is it? Like the top of the Instagram stories.
Really?
Yeah. You're still up there. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Cause I liked her stories. I liked what she posted. I found myself aligning with a lot of the things that she would post, and agreeing with them, and they're funny, and they made me smile. And I think at the end of the day, I knew who she was by what she posted and what she stood for and who she wanted to represent. And I was drawn to that, because I'm so desperate to have the Spirit with me at all times. And I was drawn to her, which to me meant you were drawn to the same thing, because you want to have the Spirit with you. And since I was so desperate to have that, because I've been through a lot the last 3 years, I'm drawn to the people that are close to God.
I also think that we're both people that we don't mince words. We just kind of say how we feel. I mean, we try and be tactful. I'd like to think that we're tactful and we're nice, but I think I only have 4 kids. You have literally twice as many.
Yeah, but that's not an only. Oh my gosh.
But I feel like the more you have, the busier you get, and you don't have time for these polite and superficial interactions, right? And so I feel and we both just naturally are more kind of fearless in the things that we say. We're more vulnerable. And
you are bold in your posts.
Yeah,
in your stories. Yeah.
I keep my Instagram private though. And so it's a lot easier, because I'm not anybody who responds poorly to me. I know who they are. Right?
That's true.
So
that is very true.
It is in some ways it's easier to be bold that way, because people are less likely to yell at you when you're a cousin or but in other ways it's harder, because you're posting who you really are to people who matter a lot in your life, and you don't want to have to cut ties with them. Yep. So it's easier and harder in other ways, but
that's true.
I don't see a reason to be polite and superficial.
So I liked what she had to say. And I just said, I don't even know why I gave you, I said, let's exchange numbers or something. Was that how that worked?
Well, it was interesting, because you poloed me first. We went
but I had to have your phone number to be able to do that.
But I can't remember what it was that
I think we were talking about,
happenings in your life.
Yes. Let me tell a quick story. Okay. Because part of the reason that this came to be is I had been wanting to share this podcast for a long time about my story and the last 3 years of my life. And I have not been able to do that without repercussions, without consequences in family court. And so it's finally time. It's my turn to talk about it, but I tend to overshare. And I tend to not have a filter, and I still, to be honest, have resentment. I still have anger. I still have bitterness and hurt. And I'm not good at holding those reins on myself. And I've been thinking for a long time, like, I need someone just to like ask me the questions and help me like not portray so much rage.
I think it's more than that. I think you're actually better than you think you are if you give yourself time. I think when you are feeling it and you want to get on air right then it's bad.
That's true.
But the more you sit with it and the more we talk about it, you're good at reining yourself in. I think what really it is you've been sitting in this space for so long. Like you'll talk about it and I'm like, well, what is whatever this acronym is?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I forget you don't know what this means. I'm like, I have no idea, you know? And so part of it, one reason is you don't know what assumptions or not assumptions, what you're forgetting to tell people, what gaps in your story there are just because you've told it so many times or you've lived it, right?
Well, it's like my advocate, she's a domestic violence national expert, and she's like, look, when you have a DV case, and I was like, do you know what that is?
Domestic violence.
Yeah.
That I know.
But I was like, what's DV? Mm-hmm. And her jaw dropped.
Sounds like an STD.
I know.
Like I have DV. What is that?
I know. So when you're talking about acronyms, I was like, I don't even know what is DV and what is IPV. You know what IPV is?
No.
Intimate partner violence.
Okay.
And anyway, what's the AFCC? What is a MTO? MTO is a motion for temporary orders. And what is a PO? Protective order. And what is an RO?
Yeah.
Restraining order, you know, and we need to get a gal, a P-gal, a private guardian ad litem, or a gal is just guardian ad litem. Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But you are thrown into this like baptism by fire, except it's not a baptism. It is a scorching of every cell in your body. Anyway, we'll get there. But my brother, back to the story I was going to tell, was the University of Utah student manager for the boys basketball team, where my uncle was the assistant coach to Rick Majerus. You familiar with him? Mm-mm. So all of Utah who loved Utah basketball knows who Rick Majerus is. He was a epic coach, a verbally abusive coach.
Oh, great.
Yeah, great. But got the job done and just like took our team to the Final Four. So he was an intense coach and yelled and, you know, pointed the finger and I would get, do coaches get technical fouls? Like, I mean, he was getting...
It's all sports ball to me, man.
Yeah. He was getting like kicked out of the games because of his mouth and because he's yelling. Okay. So with my brother being the U of U student manager for the basketball team, Rick Majerus like pulls him to the side and says, I want you to pull on my pant leg every time I step over this line so that I don't get kicked out of the game and I can keep coaching. Mm-hmm. So there's this footage of my brother squatting next to Rick Majerus, who's a big dude. And he's like eyeing his pant, and you see him like tug at his pant leg every time he is about to cross the line. And that for me is what Carly is going to be. That is my metaphor, because I need someone to, I mean, it sounds terrible, to hold me back. Okay, so I'm not very good at, I guess, filtering my own words, and I get myself in trouble or I put my foot in my mouth. I needed someone to help me with that. And so when Carly said to me,
which I felt prompted.
Yeah. Tell me your.
Well, I was just putting my kids to bed one night, and the whole time, the last several years, I've always been thinking like, how can I help Julie? Like, what can I do to help her? And I just thought, I think that because I was an avid listener of the Gritty Mamas podcast.
Of course.
I love stories. I love hearing people's stories. And so I was listening to it, and I always thought, like, why is Julie not telling her story? Like, I want to hear, I would kind of listen and love other people's stories and like listen for hints of Julie's story in it. You know, I would always be like, what's she going to say? You know, what's underlying? And so then when we were talking about it and I was trying to think, how can I help you? I just felt prompted. And this is like me sitting in a dark room with my kids, rocking in a rocking chair. And I just thought, I've got to ask Julie, like, why don't you have a co-host? Like, you need somebody to ask you questions. Because I remember listening to one of the episodes where you just talked about yourself, and it just didn't feel as natural.
Because it wasn't. You
had to sit there and think, like, what else do you want to hear about? You know what I mean?
It was inauthentic. And I think that's, you know, with vlogging and being relatable and real and raw and genuine, I couldn't be any of those things because I basically had to put duct tape over my face, which we'll talk about later. But I couldn't be real. And so because of that, I decided, since I couldn't speak on my own story, I decided to do the Gritty Mamas podcast and talk about other women's stories.
Right.
Which, like you said, we were auditory processors. And because I couldn't process my story verbally, I was like, well, I will hopefully get some healing by
telling other people's stories.
Having other people tell their stories who have been through hardship, which helped me, you know? And like you said, like, I kind of needed this time to simmer down. And I still need to simmer. It's like the pot isn't boiling so hot right now. It's maybe just bubbling because it's not over yet.
Well, things come up.
Yeah.
It's not, your story's not over. And that's the thing, is the story might not be over for a while, right?
Yeah.
It's ongoing, but I've watched you process, and you and I talk all the time about things. And so you're able to just process them. And so I don't see you heated. I don't see you wanting to do harm to anybody. You know, it is just sadness. It's hurt. It's confusion rather than anger and hate. You know, it's different now, but I do see providence. I do see that God kept putting things in front of us. You know, we even tried to record this once, and we just didn't feel good about how it turned out. It just wasn't right. And I feel like it wasn't time.
And it was location, it was space, it was equipment, it was kids and having to put them to bed, timing, and
even now, what time is it?
Oh my gosh, it is now 11 p.m. What day is it? It's September, Saturday night. This is date night. I don't even know the date. September something.
I have no idea.
12th or 13th. I really don't know which day it is. But we've been here for the last 3 hours trying to just set up the equipment, because this is hard. This is hard to put this together and figure out the output and the input.
Neither one of us are techie. My husband is way better at this than I am. I lean on him. I used to be really independent, but when I married him, I didn't have to do any of that anymore. He's just good at it.
Yeah.
So I'm watching you. I'm like, well, how do we do this, Julie?
Yeah. I've done pretty well. I've had to teach myself everything, and it has not been easy by any means.
Did it.
Yeah, we did that. We did it. We were patient. It just took one click of a button to finally make it work.
After lots of one click of buttons.
After a lot of button pushing my buttons, literally. Holy moly. But we're here. And because it's late and because we got to go to bed, it's going to be a short kind of introduction to this next chapter of podcasting with Carly.
But first we got to talk about how we got here.
Yeah, you start.
Well, Julie was fired up the other day.
I was fired up.
There was stuff going on in family court, not in your story.
And not even in my story. I was mad for my friends.
Somebody you're invested in, you know. So she was fired up, and she's like, Carly, like, I'm feeling like it's time to do this.
It's go time. She's being modest. I was like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And she's like, whoa. She was holding my pant leg.
It's like, well, let's figure out what we're going to talk about first, Julie. No, but she, when Julie feels the Spirit, it's the go button.
I do. I feel urgency.
You feel the fire under your feet. And I feel the Spirit work in my life when things unfold the way that this did. And that's why I think it's so interesting and important to share, because I felt the Spirit guide us together in everything, in our friendship and all that, and then to do the podcast together. And even though I'm not somebody who likes cameras and, you know, the public eye or anything like that, but I felt prompted to do this with you, and then prompted to hold you back. prompted to
So I'm going to interrupt you because when she said, like, you should have a co-host, I was like, it's Carly. Because I have felt all along, like, I need somebody to help me. I need somebody to ask me the questions so that I can kind of stay grounded and answer the question with clarity and not so much anger. And so that's part of the reason she's here. But also, Carly has this gift of being able to, like, give advice and therapy and suggestions and hope.
I'm not a professional.
She's not a professional, but, like, she may as well be, because she's got this gift to be able to relate and meet people where they are. And she did that for me. And so people have told her all along, Carly, you should have a podcast. So there are going to be times where these are just going to be conversations with Carly, where we'll have Q&As with all of you. We will answer questions you might have about either one of us.
I would love to have people write in to get
and they can do
your
that.
take, my take, anybody, either one of us or both of us, our take on what's happening in their lives or a particular situation, how to deal with things. I would love to do that too. We'll just see where it takes us.
This will eventually evolve, and we're here for it. But I think that it's important to say, for those of you that are listening for the first time, my name is Julie Jeppson.
Officially.
I mean, legally,
again,
I have to change it. Yes, I've been awarded my God-given birth name back. So, do you see, like, I get the little digs because it makes me mad. But I have been in a 3-year litigation battle, and my name was Julie Boyer, and it is back to Julie Jeppson, and it has been the biggest nightmare the last 3 years, and I haven't been able to talk about it, and it's time to talk about it. And we're going to do it together, and it's not going to be a bash. It's not going to be a he said, she said. It's going to be factual, spiritual, and hopefully uplifting.
Hopefully we add something positive for people.
Yeah.
Something we want to add value in the world. This is not going to be, we're not here to gossip. So basically, we're here to learn, to grow, and to heal together. And my best friend in my neighborhood, she and I, we talk about all the important things, and we get pretty raw. And
deep.
She told me, and deep, yeah. And she said to me once, Carly, grief needs a witness. And it has always stuck with me. So sometimes you just need somebody to witness your grief, and that is healing in and of itself. So we're here to witness your grief, to witness the grief of other people.
And mourn with those that are mourning.
Exactly. But to become better, to learn, to grow, that's what we're here on this planet for. That's what we're on this podcast for.
Yeah.
So we'll do it together.
So we're here in this beautiful studio. And so when I said to Carly, I'm ready, I'm raging, let's do this, I was like, but we have to go. So we have to find somewhere to do it. This is our biggest hang up.
All summer. It was a hang up. We were trying
summer
to be creative and solve this. And what happened was my husband put me and a friend on a group text to thank him for something nice that he had done for us. And then he said, hey, I know that you've been on podcasts recently. Do you have a place that you've gone to do it? Or, what's your deal? And he says, oh, I've been to other people's studios, but I actually have one in my office if you ever want to use it. And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to bug him. And then I was like, I don't know what else to do. And so I started talking to him, and he was the nicest. I mean, he acts as though it's not a big deal. It is a huge deal.
It is.
And then when I showed up for him to show me this space, I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah, these super expensive microphones, the lights, the tables.
Sound panels?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. And then, like, no kids.
And, here's the other thing. I said, hey, like, can we access this space at these very particular times? Because that's all that we have to work with, Julie and I.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
He was like, oh, that's actually the only time it's available. And I was like, are you kidding? If God's not in this, I don't know who is.
No kidding.
I mean, it's just the right time.
It really is. And we're ready for it. So stay tuned to where we get into the nitty gritty of the last 3 years and the next 300 years. I mean, this is an adventure. I am grateful to be back. I'm grateful that Carly's here. I'm grateful for this studio and grateful for all of you to be here listening, and hope that we can provide something for you that you'll walk away feeling more uplifted, maybe more hopeful, maybe with a little bit more grit to get through the day.
And some empathy for other people.
Yeah. Yep. And meeting them where they're at. And hopefully you can meet me where I'm at, because it's not easy just throwing everything out there. But since this has all been made public, whether I liked it or not, we might as well finish off where it all started. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Gritty Mamas podcast with Julie Jeppson and Carly Tall, over and out.
So now you know what it means to be gritty. It can be dirty, but you're still so pretty. Now make a pledge and never take no pity. Baby, welcome to the gritty committee. She's a gritty girl and she got gritty plans. So get out the way so she can wash her hands of the blame and the shame and the claiming that she would never be enough.